Reed, thank you so much for doing this, man. Really, really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no sweat, dude. I mean, nice of you to think a little old me.
Well, you've been quite busy, man. Just got back from Hell's Heroes.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
did that last weekend. It was a good time.
Yeah. So how was your like full experience at the festival?
Dude, I tell you what, man, like I've been doing this a long time and as you get older, it's hard and to go to a fest like that, it like really recharged my batteries because I've done a lot of festivals where it's like you're there for 12 hours, like you're just watching like the marathon party, like people acting ridiculous, and you just by the time you like see the bands you want to see at the end of the day or something, you're just kind of worn out. And I don't know, man, it was a great community of people. Everyone was very friendly. This festival was like smooth, easy going, and from an artist perspective, I mean, like they took care of us and it was good. So, and it was just a few hours from where I live, so it was nice.
Yeah, and I feel like Overdose fits so well with that lineup too. Like you got a lot of like there's a lot of like British new wave, a lot of like old metal on there, like a lot of blues oriented metal, like seeing like Attacker on there is just so awesome. So
Yeah.
you guys fit in so well to that lineup.
Well, thank you. I was, Christian, the guy who puts the fest on, he asked us, and Christian, he's played in a few different bands that I've always thought were cool, and so I kind of have a feeling of like what his taste, covers, and yeah, I just it felt good because we're not. I mean, you've heard us. We're not like raw heavy metal. Like I ain't in a fucking cape on stage. I'm not up there like talking about sorcery and all that bullshit. And it was cool they made space for us, and it went over well. So like we had a great crowd, and like some people like to hear some rock and roll still. So.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. How does it feel to be out of New York?
Oh, it's good, man. I only lived there a few years. I'm not a New Yorker. And without going too far into it, like uh, you know, after COVID, like it's just big city America just got a little weird, and I was just like much happier going back to Texas. So it feels good.
Yeah, I only ask because I feel like so many of your musical roots are like in that city, like especially Overdose with like the first gig being at a what was it like Union Hall or something? Union
Oh, Union
Pool.
Pool, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, it's cool that this because honestly, man, like I've been to New York a bunch. Where you're at right now is way better. It's just way better, And the fact that Hell's Heroes is like your backyard, it's
Yeah.
like so great. I've been wanting to move out there for so long now. So I want to get into Overdose. The 7 inches are fantastic. Um, how do you recall the writing and recording process of both EPs or singles?
Well, I'll tell you what, since you're talking about New York, like, so three-quarters of our band, we're a four-piece, three-quarters of us live in New York and I'm in Texas. Um, so I lived in New York at the time. We recorded everything together. And one of the coolest things about being in that city is it just attracts like people that are all kind of like searching for something, I guess. I used to joke there's like a magnet underneath that town that just like pulls everybody in. So when you start a band, you have a lot of people that are pretty proactive, you know what I mean? And they're all it's difficult to do anything in New York, whether it's buying your fucking groceries or doing your laundry. Like, so when you want to be in a band, it takes a lot of extra effort compared to if you were in a small town. And anyways, it's a long-winded answer to a short question, but
No worries.
it was basically like the guys in my band made it very easy to record, write songs, and practice. And yeah, we did it all pretty DIY, as much as we could do on our own, we did. We recorded in our practice space with a friend, uh, mastered it with another friend who's back in Texas, and then I got a little label. We put it out ourselves. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just curious. You have so many projects before Overdose, Poison Rights. Was there any material from past projects that made its way into Overdose,
Uh,
or was it all written fresh?
it was all written fresh. I'm trying to think if there was any. No. Oh, by the way, they're doing construction outside my house. So if you hear like a fucking jackhammer, I'm sorry. But
No worries. I can't hear anything, so
okay,
so
good, because
far,
I can
yeah.
hear it and I'm just like, oh fuck.
No,
Um,
it's all good.
that's good. No, so okay, so I had when I was younger, I had a band called Speedwolf, which was its own thing, and then we broke up, and then I started a band that was like in a different vein called Poison Rights, and so it was like kind of going from one genre to another. Nothing really crossed over. Everything with Overdose was like fresh. I had a lot of ideas get to kind of do a Motorhead sound again, like I had done with Speedwolf, but I wanted to do it way more like mid-paced rock and roll, more focused on like bluesy riffs rather than like, just speed freak shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, how do you reflect on like your transition from like Speedwolf to Overdose?
Well, I mean, I don't really think much about it. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It's like a lot changed in my life personally that kind of sent me different ways. But I've always been a big music guy. Like I worked in live music, I worked at record stores, I've released records, I traveled the world buying records. I've always surrounded myself with lots of music and wanted to try different things. And it's kind of funny because people always want to talk to me about like the one thing I did that made the most impact. Like, oh, like it's like if you were the high school football quarterback or something, and like everybody just wants to talk to you about that for the rest of your life. It's kind of funny. It's like flattering that people like it, but you know, I don't want to be like doing speed and drinking whiskey and like playing in Speedwolf for like the rest of my life. So I'm like a
Yeah.
different person now. I still love that style of music. When I happen to yell really loud, I sound like you know who. So it works. But yeah, I mean I'd like to think it's evolved, and I don't know if you ever heard the other band I did, Poison Rights. It's more like a punk band, but
Yeah,
um
you put the record out on YouTube under your label. It's fucking great. It's like your projects are so different from one another. I will say Overdose is my favorite,
thank you.
but I feel like some of these past projects definitely add to you as an artist and have, helped you evolve into who you are now. So just like getting a little bit of context here. But that is interesting to hear, and that does make a lot of sense, and Overdose, there's still so much. Like we're only one record in, you know. There's so much to be desired, and I'd love to dive into that a little more. Um,
Almost every band I've been in is like one record in, if you think about it. Sad, whether that's sad or good, I don't know.
you
But
move fast, man.
yeah,
Like it's project after project, I definitely admire that because
I mean,
it's
no, I appreciate it. I mean, my my approach to like being in a band is I always grew up just as much into like punk as into heavy metal. Like you know, and I never really understood this like heavy metal side of things where like people like wouldn't tour, they wouldn't play shows. They'd like sit in their house all year and do like one show at like a fest or something. And like so when we were younger, we'd put out a record, but then we wouldn't put out another record for like a few years because we just like hit the road and like tour the fuck out of like one record. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
that's mainly the reason we space it out. But I wouldn't say I'm working that fast because I don't really have like tons of releases under my belt for how old I am.
Yeah, well, not just like releases, but like just like jobs and things you're juggling, the label. You're talking working at record stores. I was like reading up and it was like it seems like you're just like doing yeah, did you at one point you were doing like five jobs at once? Like working five jobs? That's fucked.
That's amazing, you know that. Yeah, yeah. Anybody that knows me, I've always worked a ton, and I grew up without a lot of money, so like nobody ever talked to me about finance. They were like, if you want more money, just go get more jobs. And I was like, okay, you know what I mean? So it's like, don't sleep, just work more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
man.
but now,
And work, do what you love, you know?
yeah, and I'm fortunate. I'm in a place now where I just work one job just for myself, and that's where I want to be. So I'm good now.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and getting back to Overdose, the Union Pole gig in New York, I'd love
Mhm.
to know. I couldn't really find any footage. How did that go? How do you recall Overdose's first gig?
Well, fuck, I can't. I think it was like 2020 or 19 or something. Anyways, um, it was great. I mean, the other guys in the band were affiliated with other New York bands, and so they brought out all their like fans from their old bands in New York. You know what I mean? They're like Brooklyn guys. They had a whole crew of like Brooklyn friends. Like, so the first show was great. Like our guitar player or other guitar player, Mike, he was in Mutilation Rights. And our original drummer, George, was also in Mutilation Rights. I don't know if you're familiar with like black metal band.
Yeah.
And they had a big impact. They toured a fuck ton and like put out multiple records. And so people knew them. So when they had this new band, Overdose, people were like, oh, I heard y'all started a new band that's kind of like Motorhead sound. So we had a good crowd and fuck, I forget who we opened for, but we had a good time, dude. It was fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How much of Two Wheels and Gone was written by then? None of it?
Uh, I would say three-quarters of it. 'Cause I think our set was like 7 songs or something, and like, and what the album's like 10, you know. And we were
Yeah.
when you're that young, you're just like, or when you're that young in the band's life, like you're like just play everything you got, dude. You know. But,
Yeah. Do you remember how long it took to write that record?
uh, probably a couple years, maybe a year or two. Um, in most of the bands I'm in, I'm kind of most of the songwriting falls on me. You know what I mean? Like I play with a lot of people that can write riffs, but like the complete song is kind of like up to my brain. Like I'm not like a control freak about it. It just kind of ends up happening that way, you know? So I remember writing a lot of those songs, like living in a little shitty apartment in New York, just like pissed off at the world, you know, wanting to bring back the old pure rock and roll, you know? But
So do you just like record some shit like on your computer and send like a Google Drive link, be like, yo, I just wrote this track. How do you guys like it? Like, what would that creative process look like?
Um, I'm pretty old fashioned when it comes to that, dude. Like, I get a basic idea and a few lyrics, but like the structure laid out. And then I want to go into a room with my friends and then flesh it all out. And then we write, the song at rehearsal. I can't really do the like, you put a riff on your phone, you text it to me, and then it doesn't like spark my brain. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
um, so yeah, a lot of rehearsal. That's how it gets done.
Nice. Nice. And how is the record recorded?
We did it in our practice studio. Um, it's called Growl House Studios. That was the
Nice.
name of our friend Ryan's studio. He does production work for like big bands all over the world, and he just had like a practice space where we would record bands, and so we just did it like live, isolate certain tracks and do them twice and shit like that. But it's all pretty raw. It's not shoestring budget like everything I've done.
Yeah, I assumed it was like recorded in like a couple days or something.
Yeah, I think we did it in
Yeah.
like a week or something. Like a week, like part time, you know what I mean? Probably in like
Yeah, yeah.
20 working hours.
I feel like that tracks and like it's just like with music as raw as that, you don't need 80 fucking multi tracks, just fucking put it out. So that's cool to hear, man. And are there any like tracks off that record that like really stand out to you as like some of your favorites, just out of curiosity?
My two favorites, shit, I was just thinking about this last weekend when we played our set. Outside the Law and then Further Down the Road.
Yeah.
Uh, further down the road, like just gets me like really pumped up when we play it live because it's always kind of towards the end of the set and it's very fast. But Outside the Law is like, I don't know, it's like a fucking metaphor for my life. And, I ain't trying to sound like a badass or whatever, but it's like, the more I think about the lyrics and what I was trying to say, I'm like, it just gets truer like as I get older, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Further down is like probably my favorite. Are all the lyrics like super personal too? Like stories about your life?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. uh,
I can
I
only
did a,
imagine.
I did a, it's funny you asked this. I did an interview for a friend for Hell's Heroes. He did a little zine for the fest and he asked me these questions and I probably sound like a dick in interviews, but I don't really give a fuck. But I answered this question, and it was similar, and I was like bitching about how all modern like metal bands, like it's all just fantasy. You know what I mean? Like all the lyrics are just like made up bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, and some of it, like I get it. You know, like hail Satan, whatever. Like that's cool. I'm be like, have you ever really hailed Satan, you fucking pussy? And like, and that's kind of like my joke about it all. Like, so, anyways, whatever I write, I try to at least have like my own two fucking feet in it. You know what I mean? Like a story that I've lived and, you know, and I think that's important because it's like, otherwise you're just fucking playing make believe. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't like Dungeons and Dragons. That shit is stupid. And like, I just fucking just tell your story about your life. And that's what I try to do.
Yeah, your shit's grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
feel like
I
every question
respect
you're
that.
asking me, I'm like going on some fucking like
Yeah. You're like, fuck 90% of metal bands.
what else I have to say is
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
I'm really not like that negative of a person, but I am pretty opinionated because I've like invested like my whole life in this shit. So I'm like, you know, I just see these trends and like all these bands will do something that is like all so similar and they're all just like kind of derivative of each other. And I'm like, come on, guys, like how do y'all not see this? You know, like it's like how many bands you know that are like we're true like the new wave of traditional heavy metal. And I'll be like, cool. What are your like favorite influences? And they'll be like, fucking Judas Priest,
Yeah.
that Venom, Motorhead, Thin Lizzy. I'll be like, badass, dude. How come you don't sound like any of those bands? You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
And then it's like fucking fly to the Icarus dragon on top of the mountain. Like, shut the fuck up, dude, and tell me about you. All right,
I
that's
can
it.
only imagine some bands at Hell's Heroes where you're like, oh, fucking hell, man.
Oh, dude, they gave me a microphone, you know, while I'm playing, and
Yeah.
I was definitely like blurting out shit I shouldn't have, but like I mean I was trying to be funny, but like I was like leave your cape at the fucking door. It's time to rock and roll. And like and you know.
I respect it, man. I feel like metal's always been really opinionated, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just and it's always to be fair, it's always kind of had fantasy in it, right? Like it that's like the fun in it, you know, like but it's there's like this weird blurred line where like I just roll my eyes at people like all these like death metal, black metal, like wannabe tough guys. I'm like, yo, dude, you ain't never killed nobody. You ain't never
Yeah.
fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't never been punched in your face, dude. Like, you ain't gonna to walk around and act tough because you got a T-shirt that like says like I fuck Satan or something on the back. Like, what the? I don't know. It's just I see right through.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's like a movement right now in death metal where it's like memes. Like it's like meme bands. Like all the death metal tracks are like jokes and like the logo's like a frog. You know, it's like some of the
Yeah,
bands, it's crazy. But I totally agree, man. Like there's some shit where like you hear the music and you're like, yeah, these guys don't fuck around. Like this is real brutal shit, you know, and like lyrically. But I totally I respect it for sure. Now, you were talking, you were saying some shit on stage. You're like, maybe I shouldn't have said. Do you guys are like drink at all on stage? Are you like like on stage? Have the band ever been intoxicated, or are you guys more? Like, no, we got to be sober. We got to, do it right. Because I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
you guys,
That's
I
just
don't
funny the
know.
way you phrase that.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice.
No, I yeah. So uh,
You guys get
I
fucked up while you
yeah.
play. That's what I'm trying to say.
uh, so I used to be a fucking maniac and like drinking drugs like whatever, and I had to put all that to bed many years ago. So I don't drink or smoke or do anything, and I haven't for a long time. but it's not like a weird thing. It's not my identity or whatever. Like I just don't do it anymore. The other guys in my band, they still drink and party and chase girls around and shit. And like, so, but on stage, like it's never really, you know, we're all like 40 plus, you know what I mean? It ain't like a, you know, it ain't like a, oh shit, dude, don't have two shots before you get on stage. Like we all kind of trust each other, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I know like Tank, they still get like super fucked up before they go on. So you never know. You know,
yeah,
I'm
and
never gonna judge age
that's funny, but
of
dude, you know how I made that joke earlier about how heavy metal bands they don't hit the road like a punk band would. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
they won't tour 30 days and play 30 shows, right? So you can party, dude, but try doing that shit every night for 30 days. You ain't gonna last. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Tank, they'll do like a show every month, you know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, for sure. So Overdose, you know, that debut record is fantastic.
Thanks.
So in terms of a follow-up, how's that look? Is it in the works? Is it being thought about? Is it done? What is the status on a second Overdose record?
Uh, it's basically more than halfway written. Um, and most of it the whole halting of it is basically because of me living so far away from the rest of the band. Like I told you earlier, it's really hard for me to write songs like digitally, or I got to be in a room with somebody and connect with them to like make music. So I take trips periodically back to the East Coast to do that. But I'm not rich, so I can't afford to be there like every month. But we just record. I think we got like 5 or 6 songs recorded, and we're just kind of doing like two at a time as they're written, and then we just like try to level things out and then send it to a mastering guy so it all sounds good. But I'm
Nice.
gonna go back there in a couple weeks and record 2 songs. So
Yeah, how does the material on that like compare to the debut?
it's pretty much the same. I mean, it's all. I mean, some of those songs we've already played live multiple times, and yeah, it's all mid-pace rock and roll stuff. Songs about motorcycles and, you know, making mistakes in life, redemption, almost dying, doing burnouts, whatever.
Yeah. You think it's going to come out this year?
I don't want to make any promises. I don't think so. I mean, it's hard to say, man, because like I press records for fun and the pressing times have been like crazy, you know, since COVID. So it's like even if like the record was finished tomorrow, you send it all off and it could be like a year before you get it back, you know. So
Yeah,
but
for
I'm more
sure.
of a fan of, I don't really want to like hype things until it's like done. You know what I mean? Like some dudes will like fucking put shit on the internet like a year before their record comes out saying it's coming out. And I'll just like finish it and then be like, hey, next week it's coming out. You know, that's how I like to do it. So
Yeah, they'll announce shit when like the band isn't even like formed yet. You know, it's ridiculous.
dude, don't even
Um,
get me started on that shit, bro.
yeah, we've had enough rants already.
I
So
mean, I'll fucking go, dude, if you want.
if you want, man, if you want, it's open platform here.
Here, let me say one thing.
Yeah,
Okay. Technology is great and terrible for the same reason. Like it's great that you and I can do this on a fucking cell phone and then you can like turn it into a podcast and help promote, you know, whatever you're doing and like help artists. That's great. But it fucking sucks because there's all these fucking goofball fucking posers that just get to like hype nothing. Like they're not actually doing anything and they just like can blast it all over the internet. You know, people are like curating their whole image of their band and not actually ever performing. You know what I mean? It's just that part of it is there's a lot of like fake shit that comes with it, I guess. But
yeah, and I'll go a step further too. Because of technology, there's a lot of shit metal bands out because anyone can get GarageBand. You know, anyone could, you know, who's been playing guitar for like 5 months, shit out a song, put it out, be like, look, we, you know, dump a bunch of money into it.
yeah,
Where there's people who are actually talented, you know, who need the exposure, who don't get it because some of it's pay to win, and it's just it's really ridiculous. So yeah, I think technology 100% has like hurt every metal scene. It sucks. It sucks.
Well,
Um,
I think the good thing about it is a lot of those things you mentioned and I was talking about, they're slowly like running their course, and people like you and me are like noticing and being like, oh, like this is just inflated internet bullshit. And so what'll happen, I hope, is that things will get back to the basics and the roots of it all, you know. Like traditional heavy metal has like had a big resurgence, you know. It's like after 30 years of extreme music, like people just want to go back to something simple that has like straightforward songwriting that with lyrics they can relate to, or um, I don't know, stuff like that. And I think eventually the internet stuff, people will be able to see through it.
yeah, I do believe it all comes back around, but sometimes it does look a little grim. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Especially like seeing the TikTok bans. It's like Jesus fuck. It's like what
I don't see
happened?
that's like a whole another world I don't even know about. And like, yeah.
I'm glad you don't. That would we this podcast would be like an extra 2 hours if you did, man. It is sad.
Dude, I used to work at a music venue when I was younger, and I was like I kind of would like hold down the bar and like help manage it and stuff like that. And it was a small like kind of punk club, and I remember working shows where like I'd have to open the bar in the afternoon, and like a fucking nightliner, double decker, fucking whatever bus, like a fucking $2,000 a day rental bus would show up, and this like kid would like get off the bus with like a laptop, and he'd be like, "Oh, this club's really cool." I'd be like, "Right on, dude. Are you the artist?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty excited to be here. This is my first tour." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Your first fucking tour, dude?" And he was just like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty exciting." And then like the booking agent like whispers to me like, "Oh, like he's like a TikTok or a fucking whatever those streaming services, like he was like one of those bands or something."
Dude, that pisses me off so much. I do comedy as well,
Oh,
and
cool.
sometimes like at a comedy club, I'll like open for like a TikToker, and they'll do good like the first 5 minutes, but it's like they tank so hard.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous, and it's such a shame because a lot of labels, that's why like it's really cool with Splatter Records and stuff, and we'll get into that, will not sign bands unless they have like 10K on all platforms. You have to have this many views on TikTok. It's such a shame. It
It
really
doesn't
is.
make sense to me. It's like I'm thankful that I grew up kind of before that was like the mainstream, like technology and the internet, like counting views and fucking plays and how many streams. Like who gives what the fuck? Like we used to not have any of that, but we could still figure out who the good artists were. You know what I mean? You used to have to go to the record store and hang out and like make friends and be like, "What do you like?" "Oh, that's what I like." You know what I mean? Like I don't sit on my phone like counting that shit and like if I go to a booking agent and they're like talking to me about that, I'm like, yo, dude, what planet are you on? It's all flash in the pan shit. Like nobody's trying to stick around for a long time and make like timeless music or art or whatever. Like they just want to get super famous, super quick, and then they'll crash and then they'll be miserable. It's like, did you even love this to begin with, dude? Like I want to make a record people will like leave the show singing the songs and then 10 years later they're going to keep singing the songs. I don't want to just like put out some bullshit that was like that guy was the shit in like February of 91, dude. You know what I mean? Like fuck that.
Yeah, and it's just people slaves to the algorithm. That's all it is. It's not
Yeah.
trying to make music to move people. It's like, all right, what will this computer like? It sucks, man. It sucks. And
Just
it's
different. Yeah.
I'm glad there's real people out there like still making music. I currently work at a record store, and some of the best recs I've gotten are just people being like, yo, you should check out this band, check out this group, saw them in '86, and like I'll check them out and they're great. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Instead of an algorithm like slowly drip feeding you what you should and should listen to. But anyway, um, all right. So Splattered Records, fucking awesome. I love the
Nice.
the neat records parody, the thumbs down.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm glad you like that.
yeah, yeah. So what was the motivation behind starting a label?
Well, I mean, I started it out of necessity when I was young just to put out my own music. And my friends' music. I lived in Denver when I was younger, and we were like didn't know how to make records, so I figured it out and like put out records for fun. Never for money, never for glory or anything like that. And I just kind of did it very bare bones for many years. And then when I lived on the East Coast, um, I gave it like a serious push. And it was basically the idea during that push was after I had worked at record stores and record labels, and I was going to record conventions like all over the world, like saving up my money and going to fucking Amsterdam to go to a record convention and just like buy shit and bring it home in my backpack. Um, so I was pretty serious about it, but I noticed this big shift where all these old rare records were just becoming like so expensive, and being a music fan and wanting to buy that stuff just became so exclusive and lame. So I wanted to do something to kind of like kick that shit in the pants. I wanted to do a reissue thing. So I started this campaign. I did like 30 releases in 2 years of just reissuing like expensive rare records that I had or my friends had and I could borrow. And we would contact the artists, reissue it in like small quantity just so that it would be available again for like kids and regular working class people that just like want to own that record, you know. So I found a lot of new wave of British heavy metal like singles where I was like, no one's reissued this single, like this single that's $1,000. Like no one was like, oh, I should just put, $4,000 into it and bring it back to life, and then it'll be $7 again, So I did that over and over again. And I just picked stuff that I like, my taste, and then it kind of formed its like uh style, I guess.
That's awesome, and that's much appreciated. I collect new wave of British heavy metal and like thrash,
Oh,
and I
cool.
like to get. I feel like some of the older pressings sound the best, and honestly, like sometimes the older pressing is the only option you have.
Right.
So bands like Dark Star and stuff, it's like you have to just like spend a shitload of money. Uh, Jaguar, that's another one where it's
Oh
like you're
yeah.
just spending a shitload of money. So that's awesome. And that's really cool. And you think someone would have come around and have done that, because the people buying these 45s are just like these rich assholes who will buy them like they're baseball cards,
Yeah,
and maybe play them once.
absolutely. And like, don't get me wrong, like I got a little bit of the collector bug. I get excited about getting original stuff, but like we've just thanks to like Discogs and the internet and eBay, like it's just we've reached a point where it's like, wanting to collect records has just become this like upper echelon bullshit. And when I was growing up, dude, like when I was a kid, if you were a metalhead and you had vinyl, that was like weird. Like metal records were in like the dollar bin. You know what I mean? And I didn't meet like death metal dudes that collected records. And if I did, they were psychopaths that like had every 7 inch by fucking Incantation and Gunslaughter. You know what I mean? And I was one of those guys, but it wasn't this like $40 fucking double LP and $15 45. Like it wasn't at that level. And so I've seen it just like get this huge burst of money, and like, some people get excited about that, but I look the other way. And I'm like, this sucks, dude. Like we should be encouraging people to own these. And the only like solution is to make it affordable and available. Like, the Satan Kiss of Death single I reissued. I mean, to me, that's like one of the most important singles in that fucking whole movement of new wave or British heavy metal. And you got
Right.
to be kidding me. It was only available once in 1980 or 80, whatever. Like, what the fuck? Like, what are y'all waiting for? There is a label in Germany that has done a lot of reissues called High Roller. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
okay. And that's cool, but that shit's in Germany, and they do these like super deluxe package records where it's like, you're spending $50 plus shipping just to get, and so I was like, well, fuck, dude, I love singles. And I was like, you could just do that. And then it's available in America and it's less than 10. So so the label was motivated by money, but not in the way you would think,
Yeah,
trying to,
the other way around,
right.
to get make things cheaper, which that's awesome, man. And that's really cool. And that's something like that I really hope starts to snowball in terms of like there's records, man, that are so expensive for no reason at all. They were pressed once in like 85. Neat Records like fucked them over. The band went extinct pretty much. and
Yeah.
they've just sat there.
Hmm.
So, and just for collectors to buy and have them collect dust in a basement.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And whatever I'm talking about in my kind of like motivation to do all this, it won't become a trendy thing because everybody's motivated by fucking money. They just want to sell more records and make more money, and they half of them don't even realize that they're motivated by that. They're like, "I'm just so dedicated to the scene." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you're just trying to add titles to your fucking Discogs page." And so, what the problem with that, dude, is like they'll just kind of oversaturate the whole market. You know what I mean? Like, and it'll it can just implode on itself and then nobody wants to buy anything, and that's not good. So people need to be careful with how much they're kind of overdoing it.
Yeah, for sure. And the cost of records are fucking insane right now. I'll like go on distributor sites and you're
Mhm.
paying $40 for like, to get it from a distributor site just to put it out for like 45. It's like ridiculous. You'd
Dude,
think a record should be like maybe 20, $25.
I'll tell you
Uh,
this, dude. Brandon, I just released a reissue for Victor Griffin. He's the guitarist from Pentagram.
yeah.
I put his solo record out. My friend did it about 25 years ago or 20 or something. And I redid it with his permission and Victor's permission. And I pressed it all within America, which people don't do anymore. Those are other opinions I'll spare you from. But I did everything in America, and out of the box, like it was wholesale $12, and I retailed it for 22. And like people are telling me like records have to be $40, like costs have just gone up substantially. I'm like, I just made one and it's $20. You know what I mean? And so it's just people lying because they want money, dude.
It's greed, and then people are seeing now how like popular records have become. It's like, oh, we can put out like a $60 thing because it's a double LP. It's ridiculous.
Poser shit. It's about money. It's not about the music.
Yeah, yeah. Like Megadeth's new record, it was like $50. It's like, are you kidding me, man? It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
And
Because
it's
what will
like
happen is fans will just go, no, dude. And then they won't sell them and then they'll be fucking frisbees. It's just like.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Anyways,
So I assume you have like a pretty big collection yourself,
I
or did
do.
you? Yeah,
I've downsized it a little bit, but I never really counted, but I got those giant IKEA shelves. I think I got like four of them full, and then
yeah.
like probably like singles in those like comic book boxes. I probably got like 20 of those. I got a lot of
Nice.
shit, dude. My poor old lady, she's so bummed on all this shit. And I'm like, look at all this shit, dude. Like I'm a
Yeah,
motorcycle guy, so I mean, the garage is full of motor parts and everything. But
you're a busy man.
yeah,
Like, geez, but 45s, that's a slippery slope. I have a friend who collects them, and like once you get down that rabbit hole of like especially like the psych ones and shit, it's
yeah,
ridiculous. Because my friend collects like Colombian psych, and
yeah,
he'll like find one for like $5. He'll like look them up on Discogs. It's like this is like a $2,000 45. It's like this isn't gambling,
yeah,
you gotta step away from it. People get so obsessed with like finding grails, and because of that they'll get into the genre only because they get the high from finding, something super expensive. But that's a whole nother thing that you did touch on briefly. But I'm just curious, in your collection, what would you say are like some of the records that you spin the most?
man. Probably the ones I've spent the most on were probably original new wave of British heavy metal singles, and I don't know, probably some Motorhead singles.
Yeah.
I'm not like a Motorhead completist, but I do like to just kind of get a lot of what I see from them. And I prefer to shop like in person. Like I like to travel a lot and I'll go to, you know, rare record stores down an alley in this town. And like if I walk in and I see it on the wall, it's kind of like fate. And then if the price is right, I'll be like, fuck, I'll take it, dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, fuck, I just got I spent a lot of money on this one, a lot of money for records, but I just got an original Japanese pressing of Ace of Spades single. It was
Nice.
the only like Japanese Motorhead single, basically, and it's all the logo, everything. It's all Japanese letters, has an OB and like a little insert and shit. And dude, I was looking for that record for no lie, fucking 20 years, and I found one through like a crazy Motorhead collector who I knew, and I just asked him, and he's like, "All right, I'll sell my copy." And then a week later, I randomly found one on eBay, and so I bought fucking both because they were like great deals. And now it was like 20 years I had nothing, now I have two. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I can relate so hard because like seeing those, especially Japanese presses, I
mhm.
think sound incredible. So I'm always looking for those. In terms
Yeah,
of metal, I don't even fucking bother. Like it's so rare, you know.
yeah.
So to find a Japanese Motorhead, do you think Japanese pressings usually sound better, or do you think that's all just fucking, you know, not real?
Or something.
Yeah,
No, I mean, yeah, I'll tell you this, because I've been to Japan for shopping for records, and the quality there is like exceptional. Like they just take better care of their shit. Like culturally, they're like cleaner, they're they're gentler, you know what I mean? Like so they just handle like packages better, you know what I mean? And like you buy a record there and it'll be graded like, oh, it's a like very good, like VG or whatever, and you're opening it up and you're like, dude, this looks brand new, you know?
unplayed.
And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, it has very tiny bend at the corner. I'm like, who gives a fuck? This thing was brand new, dude. Like, and yeah, so that could probably play into it sounding much, much better.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like the culture takes way better care of records. Where like here, fucking there'll be like a punk 45. It's like, VG plus and it like looks like someone fucking played frisbee with it for like a week straight.
Yeah. It
Like
lived in a
the
squat for 20 years. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's don't even trying to find like original punk shit around here, especially I'm in like New England. Like we just beat the shit out of all of it. Like it's so destroyed, you know. I got like an original Frankenchrist recently, which was like mint. I'm like, how the fuck, you know? But it's all usually destroyed. But hey, man, it was a pleasure talking music and talking records and Overdose. And I'm glad Hell's Heroes went well. And it was an honor meeting you. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. I really appreciate this.
thanks, Brandon. Thanks for listening to me rant about all this bullshit. Good talking with you.
No worries. My pleasure, man. This has been great. My name's Brandon Battick, and this is Disturbing the Priest.